Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another session in Fiqh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa afdalu salati wa tamu taslim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. We continue with Matan Abi Shuja', this text in the Shafi Fiqh, and we continue with impurities, and we now go to the overlooked. So those impurities that are overlooked by the Sharia. I've overlooked writing the text on the actual board today, so I'll be reading it, and the author continues to say, وَلَا يُعْفَى عَنْ شَيْءٍ مِّنَ النَّجَاسَاتِ إِلَّا الْيَسِيرِ مِنَ الدَّمِ وَالْقَيْحِ وَمَا لَا نَفْسَ لَهُ سَائِلًا إِذَا وَقَعَ فِي الْإِنَاءِ وَمَاتَ فِيهِ فَإِنَّهُ لَا يُنَجِّسُهُ. So the author says that there's nothing from the impurities that are overlooked except a little from blood, from vomit, so the likes of that. وَمَا لَا نَفْسَ لَهُ سَائِلًا, and those insects that do not have flowing blood. إِذَا وَقَعَ فِي الْإِنَاهِ, so if it falls into a vessel and it dies in it, it does not make it impure. So in the previous session we looked at impurities, the removal of impurities, and understanding what impurities is about. And the main lesson from that was, regardless of however small, however big, as long and being tangible, we have to remove that essence, that impure item, the whole essence of it. And so when we do al-istinja, we remove the essence by using water. However, if you do not have water, best being water and a stone, meaning a toilet roll, the equivalent, use them both. That's the best, the optimal way of doing istinja, removing this impurity of going to the toilet and relieving yourself. However, at the bottom, you can at the least best, which is to just use toilet roll. Water is scarce, maybe you need it for drinking or a journey, for example. So you can use toilet roll, or there's no water available really, then use toilet roll. But however, the toilet roll, has it removed the actual impurity? So if you for number one and number two, have you actually removed every essence, every particle of that impurity? You haven't. So the Sharia overlooks that. So you can see that in the example of al-istinja, that it's overlooked that, because you haven't removed it all, but that it's overlooked. You've done your enough that it's satisfied by the Sharia, and you can go and pray Salah. You do wudu and you have Salah, and you can pray Salah. However, there are other things that also can make things impure, and these are the items that are kind of mentioned here on the list. The other main thing to know is, if that thing of impurity, that little that is overlooked by the Sharia, because it facilitates for you, if it's just little on that person, and what is the determiner? And that is that scale. So it's urf, which is custom. What's customary known as a lot and a little, in terms of, if this is a little blood on your garment or your cloth, is that a lot of blood or is it little blood? It's determined by the people. The Sharia has left it for the people, and they determine the scale for what's considered a lot. If it's considered a lot, then it's not overlooked. If it's considered a little, then it's overlooked. So we're talking about blood due to these animals dying or being killed on you, for example, on clothes, because clothes have to be clean if you need to perform prayer. So if it's on you, that little insect has died on you, then it's overlooked by the Sharia, so that's fine, you can pray. However, in this scenario, let's say this person is picking up another person who is got that impurity. So this person, he hasn't got that impurity, but this person who is carrying, for some reason, has that impurity. That's not overlooked. Not overlooked. Also, if that person, that person who's being carried, he performed istinja or she performed istinja, but not with water, just with the toilet roll, so the least best, then for that person, if they were to pray, that's fine, that's overlooked for that person. But because you're carrying that person, there's no need for you to carry that person, when you're praying Salah or something, so then it's not overlooked. So in that kind of scenario, it's not overlooked. Nor if that person has, or if you just pick up some kind of cloth that has a little blood on it, which won't, on the scale is a little, is overlooked. That cloth has it, but you're not wearing it. You're actually picking it up. It's a separate item to you, but you're picking it up or you put it into your pocket. Then it's not overlooked. So that's the difference between whether it's on you or whether it's separate from you, that you just don't really need to have it on you, and you can just leave it and, you know, pray or whatever else that you may need to do. So that's explaining that part there. These are the kind of animals or insects that are mentioned. These are small things in the Sharia. Understands that these kind of things that Allah SWT has created, these little creatures, they're hard to get rid of sometimes. You know, there's a lot of them, and sometimes they might die on you. There might be blood off them on you. Does that mean you have to remove it and you have to go change your shirt? Like, let's say you leave from the masjid, from home to go to the masjid, but on the way something came on you from this, some insect died on you, and then there's a little blood. Do you need to now go back home, change it, and then come back to the masjid and pray? No, you know, the Sharia facilitates for you as much as possible. There's a beautiful religion, beautiful deen. So these are some of the mentioned insects: dhubaba, which is a fly; qaml, which is a lice; barghuth, flea; khunfusa, beetle; dabbur, which is a wasp; nahla, which is a bee; and a mosquito, ba'uda. So any of these items, you know, so main thing is, if you break a limb of any of these items, does blood flow? Blood does not flow at all. So these kind of things, anything that's similar to these items, they are overlooked by the Sharia if they, you know, they kind of stain your shirt because of the little blood from them. So the Sharia overlooks that. So the main thing is the Sharia makes it, you know, it wants you to consider yourself like, let's say in a desert, water is scarce. It's not like you're, you know, we're not trying to put, rulings are not made from being in front of a tap where you have plentiful water supply and, you know, you're able to do wudu, and, you know, if something comes on it, oh, okay, you can remove your shirt. No, it's difficult. People go out, people are doing many things, and let's say you wake up one day and then you go to the masjid to pray, but first you need to perform wudu, and the wudu area facility is not from taps, but it's like an open kind of howd, like a basin, and in there a little bunch of these animals, insects have died. Does that make the water now, oh no, you can't use it now, it's made it impure? No, the Sharia will not look at it like that way. You, of course, remove those dead insects, but it has not purified it. These things have not made that water now impurified. So the main thing is just, there are things the Sharia has allowed that it'll overlook, and that's, you know, so the blood of these little animals, you know, like in istinja as well, you know, there's still that particles of, if you just use a toilet roll, there'll be still particles you haven't removed completely, it's overlooked. And the main thing is it's on you and it's difficult to remove. But if you're carrying it and you put it in your pocket, some kind of impurity on something, like a little, if it's a little which is overlooked normally on yourself, then that is not overlooked. So that's this part of these overlooked items by the Sharia. And then we continue on to those kind of other items that are now considered to be more heavy impurities, and how do we deal with that. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.